What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Before we get into it, I just wanted to remind you guys that we're coming up on 2K subscribers, and once we do, we're going to be doing a small giveaway. We'll let you know what that is when we get a little bit closer to that, and let's get into it. The two things we got wrong going in here, one being blackhair algae. Blackhair algae has been in this tank for a while, but we had a huge bloom of it, so now it's everywhere and there's a ton of it. It's not harmful to the fish, it poses no threats, it's just unsightly, and it is a clue to the second thing we got going on in this tank. So the Pleco's been acting weird lately, and I haven't known what's going on. And then I noticed he has a few bubbles on his fins and on his belly. Now personally, I've never seen anything like this before, so I resorted to the internet and I found out that this is what's called gas bubble disease. So to counter these issues, I have a lot of things I gotta do. One being, I gotta take everything that has blackhair algae out of this aquarium, which is fine. It is a lot of stuff. It's basically every rock you see in here, all the wood, the decorations. There's a lot on like the input and the outtake for the filter. There's some on the heater. It's on everything. So some of this is going to be taken and put outside, and then we're going to bleach dip some of it. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. And then we're going to be doing a huge water change on this, and we've got a lot of stuff to do to get rid of that blackhair algae, as well as the gases. And I'll explain the gases more as we start taking things out and doing water changes. I'd just like to take a moment to let you guys know that there are other methods of getting rid of blackhair algae, such as using fish that eat the blackhair algae. A few of these fish are bristlenose Plecos, black mollies, twig catfish, cherry barbs, and goldfish. And using peroxide. We're going to be getting into that stuff in the next video that we do about blackhair algae, where we work on the 5-gallon. And that video is going to be coming out real soon, so if you want to see that, make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap that notification bell to get a notification when that video comes out. So right now I'm going to be working on taking things out of the aquarium. Like I said, all the decor and hardware is going to be coming off the aquarium because it's covered in blackhair algae. Now, blackhair algae is just a stringy little hair-like algae that grows on surfaces. Sometimes it's green, sometimes it has a reddish tint to it, and sometimes it's black. Blackhair algae poses one clue to the gas bubble disease, and what that is that blackhair algae only grows in water that has an abundance of oxygen content, and gas bubble disease is caused when there's too many gases in the water that aren't being released, and then the fish absorb them, and the only way to get them out is to push them through their body. But let's focus on the blackhair algae. The best way to remove blackhair algae is to either manually remove it or use bleach, and we're going to be doing both of those, so let's get right into it. Here I have all of the hardware. I have the intakes and the returns for the filters in this bucket, the heater, I have the pieces to the sponge filter. Everything that was inside of this tank that had blackhair algae on it, I now have inside of this bucket, and this is thick and gross on here. So what we're going to do is we're going to get to the bleaching. So you'll obviously need bleach, a container to put whatever you're bleaching in, and you'll also need water. Once everything you need to bleach is in the bucket, you take the bleach and you pour 1 cap per 5 gallons into the bucket, and then it's simple. You just fill it up and wait. The bleach isn't going to damage the plastic, so you can leave them in there as long as you want, but I suggest you do a minimum of 10 minutes. And while we're waiting on that, let's get started on this water change stuff. First, I'm going to use my Hiker 6-in-1 tool, which I plug every time because this thing is great. Your hands don't get wet, no wet t-shirt rims, and it has all the tools you need. So we're just going to scrape all the stuff off the glass that we see and get it into the water column before we suck it out. This little step here is huge. You're taking all of the blackhair algae off of the walls of the aquarium and anywhere else, and you're knocking it into the water column. This itself will not kill the blackhair algae, so you got to make sure you suck it out. So now I have everything out of the tank that had blackhair algae on it. The heater, all of the filter equipment is out of this tank, everything. The only thing that is currently in this tank that was in it before for equipment was the sponge for the sponge filter, which I cleaned off in tank water with this much sand and how long the tank's been running for. I'm trying to vlog. How long this tank's been set up, there's more than enough beneficial bacteria in the sand to keep this tank going, keep the cycle going. with the amount of water change that I'm going to be doing a huge water change on this, I decided that I wasn't going to harm the bacteria at all. So I just rinsed it off in tank water, threw it back in. And then there's also my portable air pump over here, just to keep some air going. Probably doesn't need it, but just to be safe while everything else is in bleach. Now I'm going to get the python out, which is what I think to be the root of the problem, and I'll explain why while I'm doing the water change. So you're probably wondering, how is a python the root of the problem? It's just a water changer. It moves water in and moves water out. Can't cause any damage. You're wrong. See, what's going on here is I usually just go through and suck everything up like you see I'm doing here, but I'm really going for the extra pieces of blackhair algae that are floating around. So I'm going to be doing like an 80% water change and chasing around these extra pieces of blackhair algae, but we're getting rid of a lot of this water, not because it's bad quality, but because there's a lot of gases trapped in it. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I don't have enough surface agitation, and that's on the contrary, my friends. The problem lies within how the water is added to the aquarium. So we've done a lot. We got all the gas out of the sand, and we took out a lot of the water, I'd say about 75%. And now we're going to be adding new water, and this is where I believe I've been messing up. Now normally I just leave the python in the tank as so. I drained it, I would have emptied it just like you seen me do a moment ago, and then I would start the new water getting filled into the tank, adding my prime and all that jazz, just like so. And as I thought, there was nothing wrong here, but there is. Now it's not a common problem. With the tap water, there's a lot of gases because it's pressurized to come up through the pipes, so you gotta hard pour it is what I call it, just like if you were to hard pour a beer. So you have this up here, and you just got to make sure it falls and hits water. And all that action allows the gas to release from the water coming out of the tap. And that's probably a huge part of my issue. Now that we're starting to fill up, we're going to add prime as always. I'm only going to be filling it up halfway to full from where it is now. And then I'm going to go handle everything that's in the bleach and then fill up the rest. Going to test the water temperature to make sure it's similar feeling to what's in the tank. Now that the pressurized gas-filled water is coming through the hose, it's going to come up and it's going to start shooting out any second now. And as it hits the top of the water, what that's doing is it's allowing the gases to release. It's breaking everything up and making it smaller and easier to get out of the water. Surface agitation helps, obviously, but now we're going to let the prime do its thing in this water, and we're going to go handle the stuff that's in the bleach. Now time for my handy-dandy toothbrush. No, it's not my toothbrush, it's just a toothbrush, and I'm going to use it to scrub off all of the blackhair algae. And when I'm done scrubbing each individual piece, I'm just going to put it back in here, and then we'll get to rinsing. I'll just show you guys the heater here. You can see that it's dead, it's looking like mucus, and it's real hard to come off, so we're just going to get to scrubbing and scrubbing until it's all off. It does take some effort to get the blackhair algae off, but it'll come off. And if you're curious, this is a brand new toothbrush that has never been used. Now that you've cleared everything of blackhair algae, you need to get rid of the bleach. So you want to neutralize that with prime. You're a lot of prime. Just pour a whole bunch in and fill it with water. Let it sit for a minimum of 10 minutes.
A few moments later.
Now we got everything set up. We're getting ready to add more water. The only thing that's running in here is the sponge filter, the air stone, and the 2 wave makers. There's great flow in here. It's a bit foggy, but we stirred up a lot. One thing I did that I forgot to film was I stirred around all the sand just in case there was any gas bubbles in it, which I believe to be a big part of why it's foggy right now, but that will only be for a little while. Now I'm going to take my Algea portable air pump off of the tank and fill it up the rest of the way. One last thing. Alright, it's the next day. Everything's doing good. Tank's all clear. Fish are doing nice. All the components to the aquarium have no blackhair algae on them, and they're looking nice, except for this. We have a little bit of blackhair algae over here, but you can tell it's dead because it's white. There's nothing over here on the spray bar. Looking good. That was pretty covered, but I did find just a few little pieces right here, so it will be an ongoing battle, but we will conquer the blackhair algae.